everyone and welcome back to my channel, Beth Chats Books. Now today I am going to do a book review / book reviews of Charles Heathcote's set of monologues, the first one being Doris and the second one being Indisputably Doris. Now I'm not aware if a third's coming out. It says on both of the blurbs that it's a series of monologues, so that makes me think it's going to be a series. There's going to be more than two of them, because otherwise it would be kind of called a duology. I believe that's the term. But anyway, I really wanted to do a book review on this because I haven't seen many people comment on Charles Heathcote's books. I've seen a lot of booktubers have been sent review copies like me, and I wanted to give a little bit of airtime to Charles because I was absolutely blown away with this collection. So I think I'll briefly kind of overview the first one and do a little bit of a discussion on it, and then try and introduce the second a little bit and round up as a collection as a whole. But basically I gave them the same star rating, so it will be a little bit repetitive. But first and foremost, I read Our Doris, and Our Doris follows Doris Copeland, and the monologues are from her husband Harold's perspective, Harold, but they dropped the H on it, so it's Harold. And it's all about Doris. She's in her 70s, they've been married for 55 years, and she belongs to the WI, the Women's Institute in Partridge Mews, a fictional place in here. It's kind of near where Charles lives. It mentions Chester and references to other places. And Doris gets up to all kinds of mischief, trying to be a more prominent figure in the WI, the Women's Institute, which she's been a part of all her adult life. And poor Harold, we hear from his point of view, him trudging along with all of his wife's decisions. So the first one was a lot shorter, and it's more of an introduction to their relationship and the kind of core characters that will be introduced more significantly in the second. So in this one, we meet her nemesis, which is Janice Dooley of Little Street. In this first one, Violet something, who's the actual chairwoman of the WI, and they keep having little tiffs. And Janice Dooley is her arch nemesis. She keeps getting up to all kinds of mischief, causing scandals and just irritating Doris. So Doris is a formidable force. She is hilarious. And we meet her and get to know all about her character very, very early on in this book. Then in the second book, Violet, the WI chairwoman, abdicates and she leaves. I'm not going to give too many spoilers. And so we eliminate one enemy for Doris, and Janice was more of a prominent frenemy enemy in the first one, but in the second one, her longtime friend Pandra O'Malley, who's Irish, she was a friend in the first one, or briefly, we didn't get to know her that much, and then in the second one, she decides that she's going to run against Doris for the campaign of chairwoman. So she's been made a kind of temporary chairwoman that Violet elected her before she left, and now Pandra wants to put herself forward for the big election that will come up in a few months and be her rival, and obviously more drama ensues. Now these collections are so funny. I just want to say, Charles, bravo on this series. It is so clever, it is so witty. I am from a northern background. I would kind of class Macclesfield, Chester way as slightly more Midlands for me, but then again, people don't class where I'm from, some people don't class it as the north. So if you're Newcastle and up, then Preston and Manchester's Midlands to you, so it's all a little bit of perspective. But anyway, I really see such a strong northern humour in here. I love the colloquial language in this, so it always says, Doris, she said. Really witty lines. He mentioned in the first one, in the kind of introduction, or he might have mentioned it in the letter that he sent me, that he got a lot of inspiration from people like Victoria Wood, and you can very clearly see that in here. I absolutely adore Victoria Wood's sense of humour. A while back now we lost her, but she is one of the great British northern comedians for me. I got a lot of references kind of to similar Peter Kay style of humour. It's a kind of humour where it's obvious that Charles has took a lot of inspiration from watching people of an older generation, how they interact, and it has that kind of sense of a truth to the storyline, which I get and I resonate with comedians like Victoria Wood and Peter Kay, that they really embody that northern comedy when they're actually talking about honest, real people. So I got that so much in here. It was littered with so many really funny references to things like The One Show, and oh, he's got an infatuation with Charlie from when Alan Titchmarsh used to do that gardening show, and Charlie was one of the ladies, part of his team who would dig up. He's got an infatuation with old videos that he's recorded. Just, I wish I'd have underlined more. There's some really funny phrases. You've met people like Doris and people like Harold before. I was laughing out loud in so many moments in both of these books. I want to applaud Charles for how consistent the second one is to the first. It's not repetitive, it's hilarious. The colloquial style is kind of repetitive because that's how northern people speak to one another. It's laugh out loud funny. This is the first collection of books I've ever read that have made me laugh out loud and titter, because this is 100% my kind of comedy. I think a lot of people I've met throughout my lifetime don't necessarily think I'm somebody who's got a sense of humour. My dad would argue I don't, but I have a very British and northern sense of humour. Not a kind of, a lot of people like dark humour or twisted kind of humour. This is my kind of humour. It's light-hearted, it's so funny. The scrapes Doris gets into, for example, there's disastrous consequences when she tries to set up a firework display for Christmas in the second one. That is hilarious. Alfred, Harold's friend, keeps nicking things from the local shop. He's a cheeky chap who gets himself into all kinds of trouble, but he's lovable. Harold just wants to have a nice easy life with his allotment. The first chapter, Doris is trying to massacre all the slugs that are living in her garden. There's always a focus of Doris trying to get further up with the WI, and it's just so funny, the scrapes and the situations that she gets herself into, and poor Harold has to go along for the journey. So I absolutely adored both of these. I gave them 4 out of 5 stars, and I would say between 4.5 to almost 5 stars because I enjoyed them so much. They're such a pleasurable read. They're so easy to get through. They are dripping with comedy and very British references. There's so many hilarious, very comedic moments in here that are very memorable. It is like Peter Kay or Victoria Wood's sketch, these monologues. They're just an absolute pleasure to read, and I really wanted to do a book review because I want so many people to go and read these. I hope he does continue with the series because I would gladly read them. They are beautiful little short, enjoyable, pleasurable reads, and Charles deserves all of the hype. So I would recommend to every single booktuber out there. You can get so much from these. They're such a pleasure to read. Doris is a character that will stay with you long after you finish the series, and if I could do one thing with the power of BookTube, it would be to convince people to go out and read both of these books. I really want you to go and check these out, and I really wanted just to say to you, Charles, I had an absolute blast reading your books. I loved them. I've met many Dorises throughout my lifetime in customer service roles and other things. It's just absolutely bloody brilliant, and I think you're missing out if you don't give this a go. So just thank you so much, Charles. If that sounds like your cup of tea or your kind of brew, because thank you, Charles, for mentioning that they are a brew and not a cup of tea. Well, that's what Harold believes anyway, and I'm Team Harold. It is a brew. I'm from the north. That's what we call it. So you get extra brownie points just for that, Charles. I'm not going to lie to you. So if it's your kind of cup of tea or your kind of brew, then please go and check this out. So sorry for having a rambly rant. I just wanted to give Charles the love that I think he so adamantly and vehemently deserves. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to be alerted for when any of my future videos come out, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new video.